It's episode 235 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
I'm Joshua Mobley.
I'm Chris Shriver.
And I'm Will Borger. Hi.
Hey!
Hello.
Will's back, and Will's back to talk with us about a very special game. But first, how's everybody doing this evening?
Good.
How's everybody
Okay.
doing?
Tired.
I just had a nice dinner. Nice light, pretty good. Lean, vegetables, fruit, meats, one lone tiny red baby potato.
Okay.
Feeling good. Long weekend. Oh, by the way, over the weekend, it was my 10th wedding anniversary and Father's Day on the same day.
Oh,
Nuts.
man.
Wow.
Crazy.
Double trouble.
That won't happen ever again for maybe some amount of years.
Yeah.
I went golfing yesterday for Father's
Oh,
Day.
yeah?
Wow.
And there's a picture of my fit on Twitter. You should go check it out. Got the Mario polo on. Got a glove that matched. I got my Mario Pumas on. I looked hot as shit.
Do you actually golf? Or did you just like go hard?
That was
for this one specific.
That was my second time doing it.
Okay.
Ever?
But-
Your second time playing ever?
Yeah, ever.
Wow.
I really enjoy it. I just, when you have a job on the weekends when everyone wants to go golfing,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to go golfing.
Yeah.
So I don't do it.
You got to do
That's
that
why
thing
all
that
the
Dodgers do, which is you just leave during the workday sometimes
Yeah,
to play 9 holes.
Yeah.
that'll go over well. No, we went early.
All
enough,
the rich people.
I played
Yeah.
the front. I played 12
Yeah.
holes. I couldn't play all
Can you
18
turn the
because I had to
air
get
conditioner
back to, I had to get back to it. But
Yeah.
it was a grand old time. I'm very tired today, though.
Nice.
Mm.
It is so hot, I would probably not do that. It's been around 100 degrees like every day here, which is
It was like 70
That's no
yesterday.
bueno.
It was amazing.
just miserable. You
like-
son of a bitch.
Yep.
I'm
It was
so
almost
jealous.
90. It was almost 90 here today, and it's going to be 90 basically all week, and I'm not looking forward to it.
that.
It's
not gonna be fun.
50s up here.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a show about games. So let's talk about some
Mhm.
games.
Sometimes, yeah.
Do we want to start with the big thing, or do we want to start with some little piddly things and then lead into some big stuff?
I have a question.
Sure.
If you could have your fart sound like a Mario character for a whole day, so every time you farted, it sounded like something from the Mario universe.
Cinematic universe.
The Mario-
Wait, the Mario universe or the Mario cinematic universe where
Like,
Chris Pratt voices
we don't
Mario?
know. We don't know what that
Is it-
sounds like yet.
Is it a canned sound effect, or does it just sound like one of the characters yelling out loud?
It can be whatever you want it to be. It can be if you were to pull up all the .mp3 files of like Mario
Right.
Kart,
Every
8,
sound effect from the
like,
Mario
the canned
universe.
sound
Any-
effect.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
it could be anything. I already know what mine is, and it's basically anytime Shy Guy is upset.
What does that sound like?
He's like, wow.
Oh, that's pretty good. Man, what would mine be? Oh, never mind. That's from Smash Brothers. But it is
would be-
Mario.
Well,
it is
yeah,
a
it would be
Mario
from
character
Mario
in Smash
World.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Mario World, when you like go to a scene that has like or when you go to like one of the big buttons and you hit the button and it goes wee. That one.
For
Yeah.
me, it would be the sound that Peach makes when she defends herself in Smash Brothers and pulls out Toad in front of her.
Are you going to do it?
It's like it's very weird. It's a very it's a very subtle sound, but
Interesting.
I think it would be interesting.
Okay.
Full of sound and fury.
I guess I'm gonna go with the Bowser laugh from like Super Mario 64.
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
What did you?
That's a pretty good one. I
I'd be like,
also
think
thought
you need to go to the hospital.
It would be shocking to everyone involved.
It would
so.
definitely burn.
it sounds
hole
like
in
a
your
giant cave in there. Like, what is happening? His insides have liquefied, and
Your
they're all
butthole's
emptying out.
very spacious.
Yeah. Well, I store like a turtle. I store all of my earthly goods down there. I also thought about like honorable mention to like the sound that Mario makes when he goes down a pipe, like doo doo doo.
Oh yeah.
Like that would just be, you know, a classic. Or when he gets hit and he powers down a little bit, you know.
They're like, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that little one. And people be like, dude, what did you eat? But yeah.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Classic.
Like, well, stop.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's a fun little diversion. Since the last time, I'm just gonna dot some T's and cross some I's over here. Since the last time that we recorded, I actually finished and beat Freshly Frosted. The puzzle game that I was talking about on Switch that was sent, a key was sent to me from the Quantum Astrophysicist Guild. And it's locked in my top 4 for this year.
Wow.
That game is masterfully done. It is one of the best puzzle games I've ever played. And the final donut box is kind of like a victory lap, and it's really fun and really satisfying. It's magic. It's so much fun. It's such a joyful experience. It doesn't really cost that much, and it runs pretty well. It runs really well on Switch when you're not panning out and like scanning across all of the donut boxes when you complete each box for the first time. But like other than that specific thing where it gets like kind of framey, it's great. And you can also get it on PC and all sorts of stuff like that. So I know it's also on Xbox, but it's just, let me just echo what I said last episode. Last episode, I think, was when I was talking about it.
Yep.
But just, it's fantastic. And it's, you know, if you're looking for something like that, like this is legitimately one of the most like uplifting and fun experiences I've had this year. It's fantastic. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Shall we dive into the big ol' for this week?
The big ol'.
So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge was a game that I was highly anticipating. It was probably the game that was coming out this year that I was the most excited about. And we got a chance to play it. Not all together, because I don't think any of us played with Josh. But the lovely folks over at Tinsley PR were nice enough to send us a few keys for us to play together. And so Chris and Will and myself have played it all together. I know that we've all beaten it. I don't know if Chris, you went back and finished the ones that we kind of skipped past when you beat it with me.
I did not beat it.
Oh, you
but
did not beat it. Okay.
I got to level 14 and there's 18, right?
I think there's
I think it was like
16.
16. Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
Oh, so pretty close though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last 2 levels, I think, are pretty short.
Yeah, the last level was just.
They're all pretty short, to
Yeah,
be
they're all
frank.
about 10 minutes long. Like
Not
10
even
minutes.
that, dude. I was playing with 4 people and we were like blazing through these levels in like 6 minutes.
Oh wow.
Like they're really fast.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into like the multiplayer experience once we get the kind of fundamentals out of it. Prior to this, I'd only played one TMNT game. Actually, I take that back. I played one of the Game Boy games way back in the day. But I played.
You never played the fighting game on SNES?
I don't think so.
I played that a fair amount back in the day.
Maybe I didn't, just forgot about it. But specifically talking about like brawlers, I played one at a barcade relatively close to my house. And it was a lot of fun. But I don't think it was Turtles in Time, which is the one that most people talk about. I think it was just the original arcade game. And this evokes a lot of that. I do want to get kind of impressions from, I'm not sure who's played the most of these sorts of games. Like if there's anybody between you guys that's played like more of them. I think, Will, you've played Turtles in Time, right?
Yeah, I've played probably like 3 or 4 of them.
I've
Okay.
also played Turtles in
Same.
Time. I mean, not for years, but
Yeah.
I played it back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, my brothers are, specifically my brother Mark is like obsessed with Ninja Turtles. So by default, I was exposed to like everything that they had.
Speaking of obsessed with Ninja Turtles, shout out to Brandon Hunt, who is just living his best life right now as well.
Yeah.
But basically, what this is it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. You can control up to 6 characters. You and your friends. It is the classic 4 turtles. Raphael, Donatello, Leo, and Michelangelo. And then you can also play as Splinter. You can play as April O'Neil, and after you beat the game, you can play as Casey Jones. So, and you can take 6 characters into levels. I will say, as somebody who played with 5 people, it was nuts, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I think maybe 3 players is probably the sweet spot.
4
as far
felt
as
fine, but it did like because they kept switching characters. I played Michelangelo the whole time, but every time people in my group would like switch characters, they would be like, I don't even know who the hell I am anymore, because like it's just
Yeah.
like green everywhere.
Yeah.
So it gets a little nuts. I can't even imagine with 6 people. It's probably just chaos. Like you just start hitting X and going like, whatever happens, happens. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, que sera, sera. Yeah, with
Yeah.
5 players, it's pretty much like that. And it doesn't help that 4 of the characters are like I think it would probably help if the turtles were as they were in like the original cartoon, where like each one was like a different shade. I think it might be easier to keep track.
Mm.
Where like Donatello is like almost brown, like a brownish green, that sort of a thing. But they didn't do that. They're all basically the same color with different headbands and stuff like that, which is fine. But it's you're going left to right through these levels. There are different gimmicks every once in a while, and the idea is you're just working your way through and trying to chase down these people who are trying to assemble Krang and different things of this nature. A lot of the stuff that I don't know how true this is of older TMNT games, or the Brawler specifically, but there's a ton of homages to other games, fighting games, things like this. Is that does anybody know if that's like super common with the older games?
No.
Yeah, so the older games are really just run around. They're beat 'em ups, right? Like you run around, you can jump,
Like this.
you can't do a lot of dodging and things like that. This has a lot more the mechanics are a lot more advanced. They're a lot more modernized. There aren't any special abilities other than, well, no, I mean, I thought that too until I went back and played Turtles in Time over the weekend.
I know what you mean. And like, yes, there's like combos and there's extra stuff that they've added in, but essentially it is still kind of the same.
I mean, it's a beat
Like,
'em up for sure.
yeah, it's a beat 'em up, which I think is maybe my biggest criticism of it, is that it's just kind of a beat 'em up. There's not really anything else here, but it's good. Like I love the art and the voice acting, and I like all the characters. I grew up with TMNT, so I'm a big fan. It feels like if this had come out on the Super Nintendo, it would feel right at home.
Yeah.
It just like at the end of the day, I'm like, it is just a beat 'em up though. Like you just kind of hit X a lot. Occasionally you hit Y or you hit B to dodge, or whatever. I'm playing on an Xbox controller, so like, yeah, and that it sounds like a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I just personally like don't. I haven't found beat 'em ups that fun like a really long time. I'd say more of the enjoyment I'm getting out of this game is the fact I'm playing it with friends, and that like the art's really cool, and I like all the references to other games that are in there, and just it's very quirky and just fun. It knows like exactly what it is, but like that's about as far as it goes for me. So I'm not like I feel like a lot of people are like screaming this game's praises, and like obviously there's a lot of positive things to say about it, and I feel like I'm being a Debbie Downer right now, but at the same time I'm just like temper it a little bit because it is just a beat 'em up at the end of the day. Like it is not like this super complex, deep experience. Like you just kind of hit X a lot like you would, That's sort of like what I feel about it, but it is very good, but I don't know. Maybe I'm like maybe I'm like weird in that like everything I've seen online about it is like people are like this game is the second coming, like it's so good, and I'm like it's good, but like at the end of the day, it is just like pepperoni pizza.
I'm fitting a fitting
It's kind of what I
comparison.
mean. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's
It's a
like
classic. It's simple. It's
it can
satisfying.
only be
Yeah.
yeah, it can only be so good. And it is good, but it can only be so good. It's like at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, that's good pizza. That's sort of how I feel about it. But
I want to hear a rebuttal from our two East Coast boys over here.
Chris, do you want to go first or should I?
Now go ahead, because you and I may touch on very similar beats here.
Okay, so I was again kind of like Brian in that I was super looking forward to this. Like as soon as we got announced, I was like, yes, 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 yes. As someone who had played Turtles in Time recently and reminded of how much I love that game, I was like, this looks a lot like Turtles in Time, just if you like did really cool stuff to it. And it basically is just like if you had subtitled as Turtles in Time 2, I would have been like, yeah, that's a track. That tracks.
mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the stuff that is in there is either a direct homage to it or is based on it. But I think it does some really interesting things that a lot of beat 'em ups don't necessarily do. I like the fact that you get experience and you level up in the story mode and you get new stuff as opposed to starting with everything in the arcade, which is a better way to ease players in and let them learn what the techniques are and the tools are and what they can do. I think that the characters feel pretty substantially different in a way that maybe they wouldn't in an older TMNT beat 'em up. Brian, in that one boss fight that you and I played, you were playing Donatello and I was playing Michelangelo, and you could hit the boss and I couldn't.
Yeah,
because you
Yeah.
had all this range. And same thing with like their super attacks and their I'm going to call them DPS because that's essentially what there are. They're rising attacks. They all do different things. They all work at different ranges. They all are useful in different scenarios. And the game rewards you for knowing when to use this stuff and combining it with your partners and also knowing when to like do a wall bounce combo and when to do like I don't know what the actual thing for it is, but that at that one point there's like a timing mechanic, and Brian, I could never figure out, I don't think exactly how it worked, but if you pressed like the attack button at a certain point, like timed perfectly, you'd get a different animation, you get more bounce property on the wall, so you could combine more easily.
yeah. There were certain sequences of attacks that you could do where while the attacks were coming out, you would get like an after image of your character that would be kind of superimposed behind them. And I definitely found that to be the case. It felt like it was like a perfect timed combo, like in Legend of Dragoon or something like that, where it was just like if you time your follow up perfectly, you'll get this like different version of the attack or something. Sometimes it felt like it was just coming out, or it was coming out more easily when I was doing wall bounce combos or something like that. But sometimes it would be when I was continuing a combo based off of a juggle that someone else was doing. So I'm still not entirely sure how it works. But it is cool. Like there is like while they do have like a nice, if a little bit overwhelming at first, description of all the moves that boots up when you start up the game. There does seem to be more than that they don't tell you, that you can find out, that's like hidden mechanics and things.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
No, I was just gonna say, like, let alone the fact that they even added like the like you said, as you level up, you get, and there's no loot or anything. You gain more stuff. So you start with like 60 or 70% health. Every couple of levels, you get like an extra health until it fills the whole bar. You get an extra like super gauge to store up to 3. And then after that, you get a different super. And every couple of levels, you get more supers. One you get when you're in the air. The original one that you start with is grounded. So you can do everything in the game. Initially, they just add like different versions of those things. So like, oh, okay, you're level 5 or whatever. Like, don't quote me on that. Now you have a super that you can do in the air, and it's a different super, and it's useful in different scenarios, particularly based on what character you found. Like, one thing that Will and I found was Donatello's grounded regular super that he starts out with is amazing, but Michelangelo's, like, wasn't it like his jumping super like does more damage?
Yeah, it hits way harder.
So it's like, if you're wanting to do like your damaging supers, like you need to kind of check it out and see which one's going to serve you best in whatever sort of scenario. You've also got like dodge counters and stuff. So like if you hit dodge and then immediately hit attack, you'll dodge backwards and then lunge forward to do an attack, which is great if you're creating opportunities to like whiff punish enemies, which is not really something that beat 'em ups do in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one of the reasons why I was really excited about this is this was another Dotemu published beat 'em up, and the last one of those that came out was Streets of Rage 4, which is fucking awesome. And so that's why I was excited, and that those bonafides, even though it's a different developer, they definitely shone through. And the attention to detail and the high quality of the animations, the high quality of the voice acting, and just the different lines that they say whenever things happen, like it's really adorable. It's great.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I will say is I think it's removed a lot of the pain points from a game like Turtles in Time, which is not to say that Turtles in Time is not a great game. It holds up remarkably well.
And it's not to say that Shredder's Revenge doesn't have its own like little things that it can't quite get around as a beat 'em up.
Right. But Turtles in Time, because of the way movement works, because you can, actually dodge and then attack afterwards, or you can run and attack into people, it gives characters that might have like a little bit of a range problem or a little bit of a speed problem easier ways to get in and deal with enemies. And it also does away with the Turtles in Time thing where if you wanted to do like a special attack, it cost health. There's no meter in Turtles in Time. It just costs health. So it's like, I don't know if I want to do this right now because I'm going to die. And the ability to, to pick your partners up, pretty I would say forgiving with its, at least on normal, with its health drops.
Cost.
It
the
seems like
pizzas.
Yeah, it seems like every time you think you need health, like if you get to that next screen, there's a pizza box waiting for you.
I definitely had a few like a handful of times where like I just couldn't hang on and had like 1 health and then died and then got back up, used one of my lives, and then moved to the next screen and there was a pizza. And I'm like, damn it. Like, if I had just been a little bit better about that, then I would have been fine. But yeah.
And
they seem well paced for that reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like very like this was very seriously play tested, and like this is where you need health, or this is the point where we're going to introduce this new enemy type. And I also really like that the characters are better in certain scenarios than others, which seems like a kind of a silly thing to say, but it really is true, right? Like initially, characters like Michelangelo or Raphael, because they have really short range, are really great because their damage is good and they can just get up in face of enemies and wail away on them. But later on, as they get ranged attacks or spears or different weapons, or they block, you have to approach it differently, and different characters are good in those scenarios. And in the same way, the levels have a lot of replay value because there's collectibles and there's challenges. So I think, to Josh's point, like, it's a beat 'em up. Like, if you don't like beat 'em ups, this is not going to change your mind about beat 'em ups. But I do think it has a lot to offer to people who are like, okay, I don't want to play this game just the one time. Why should I come back? And I think there's a lot of that there.
Yeah. And I think that maybe some of those like character strengths came through a bit more because Will and I played, I think, the entire game through together. And we played the starting character that has the highest range, and either the character with the shortest range or the character with the second shortest range. So there was definitely times like there are motorcycling enemies that like ride right to left on the screen, and they would pop up with these warning notifiers where it was like beep beep beep, these guys are coming, and then they rode onto the screen, and I'm Donatello, and I literally just stood there and shoved my my bow staff in his face and just knocked him off. I didn't even have to dodge. I was just like, yeah, you're not getting anywhere near me. And it was great, you know. Whereas other people like to have to dodge or jump around or stuff like that, like thinking, you know, people, longtime listeners will know that I love this. And this is one of the reasons why I really like the Souls games, is that like, if you're paying attention and if you're using the tools in your toolbox, like you can do a lot of interesting stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think you can do, even in a game as simple as this, which I think is awesome. Chris, what did you want to say?
I mean, to echo, you know, not to echo everything that has been said, because I am like really high on this game. I think it's great. Some of the things that haven't been mentioned, I think it's incredibly easy to drop in and drop out of games as needed or as desired, either with randos or with people on your friends list. I think they've done a really good job with making it where, you know, I had only played the first, 3 or 4 levels, and Brian hit me up and was like, oh, you know, Will and I have been playing for a while. Why don't you jump into my game? And they let me go into like level 12, even though my Leonardo wasn't, you know, a super high level or anything like that compared to his Donatello. It still let me play with him. And then when I went back into my game later on, it was like, okay, you've completed these stages, you know, that are later on in the title. But everything in between level 3 and level 12, like you can't go beyond that. You have to play everything there. I was really impressed that they actually even let you do that. And it wasn't just some gated, like, nope, you have to beat this first in order for this player to join you or whatever. I really like that. Obviously, I have to talk about the music because that's what I do. I think the music's incredible. I think it's not something that I would go back and like listen to on a regular basis or like while I'm working or anything like that. But it evokes the same like just 90s kid eating pizza hype that you would get in your local arcade when you were growing up.
Yeah.
There's like that one rock song, like I think it's like level 7 or something like that. That's like
It's so good.
it has like Sonic.
While you're on the hoverboard or whatever.
Yeah, like it has such like Sonic Adventure vibes that it's like, what the hell? Like somebody actually wrote this and, you know, like took the time to put this in
we
here.
were like, oh, there's quality butt rock in here.
Yeah,
It works.
That's exactly what it is. There's that. There's a Wu-Tang song. 2 of the guys from Wu-Tang are in it. The lead singer of Faith No More does the intro song for the game. Like there's just
so ridiculous.
Yeah, there's so many like weird 90s but still relevant things with the music that I respect the hell out of it. As far as the modes are concerned, I do really appreciate the fact that it is you have the option to do story mode. You do have arcade mode. You can drop in with randos online. Because if you look at games like Turtles in Time, it's like you have arcade and you have time attack. And that is it. There's not really a whole lot of meat on that bone. And I mean, back in the day, that was what gave it longevity, was how long can you survive to play that game if you were, you know, 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid just trying to play video games. And it was like, okay, how many times have we all played Big Apple 3 a.m. over and over again? Whereas with this, like, you know, you can just keep playing the same game over and over and upgrade your characters as you want. I do appreciate that it's a game that is as long as you want it to be, outside of like the 2.5 hour runtime of actually playing each level start to finish. Like if you're somebody that wants to chase challenges, you can. If you're somebody that wants to level up each of your characters, you can. But if not, like it is just it's a very easy game to just be like, what should we play? What if we played Ninja Turtles? And you could, like, Saturday night, you could just pop in with your friends and play the whole thing start to finish. And it's like not a big ask.
I definitely found that, like, I know that we were quoted like 2 hours to 2.5 hours. I definitely found that it was like 3 to 3.5 hours for me. Like when we ended up beating it, I like popped out of Steam,
to 3.
and it was like, you played 3 or 4 hours, something like that. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think it also like does a really good job of, and this is another thing that I think is probably not talked about enough, of scaling the levels with the amount of players that you have. where it's like, hey, there's more enemies here. And you get to a certain point where the game just can't keep up. You get 6 people on the screen and it's like, whatever, like there's turtles on every pixel, just whack, you're fine. It's just gotta hit them. But it does like do the difficulty well. And it also, and I don't think anybody's mentioned this either, but the boss fights are really good. Boss fights are really well designed.
With the exception of one.
Yeah, maybe
was because we did it wrong.
So I did that
boss
fight. I did that boss fight later with Will. I was right.
Okay, we were doing.
I was right.
Then.
Yeah, we were doing
beat that
wrong.
boss fight. I remember going into that fight because Brian was like, "Man, we really struggled with this fight," and I was like, "We beat it on our first try." I was like, "Why?"
Like Brian and I were going into it, and we were like, "All right, we have to like build up all our specials. You go up here, I do that." Like we had this whole strategy planned out, and like here we were just like. We totally like whiffed what we were supposed to be doing.
That is not at all my experience doing the boss fights. The experience of me and my group doing the boss fights has been tap X and Y a lot until they're dead, and then it's over.
That was just that one. But yeah.
It was just specifically it was just Crumb Dome.
Yeah.
Was the fight.
Which is a reference to a fight in Turtles in Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like, throwing people at the screen. Like I said, it's Turtles in Time too.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because having not played Turtles in Time, I definitely got flashbacks to the first boss fight in Battletoads, because not the remake of Battletoads
are in the game.
in the original Battletoads, because that has you're looking out of a screen and somebody's punching at you and stuff like that, and then shooting at you. It's which might be a reference to Turtles in Time. I don't know which one came out first. Because that was an original NES game.
Battletoads, yeah.
Battletoads came out first, yeah. Turtles in Time is a SNES game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Maybe it's a Battletoads reference then.
There's
the Battletoads are essentially in the game, right?
Like, basically.
Yeah.
The Turbo Toads or whatever they're called.
Or whatever they're called. Like, bring us the bugs, dude. And you're like, all right.
So speaking of that, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but there are challenges and there are collectibles for each level, and there's typically like 2 or 3. Sometimes there's like 1. But you can find hidden characters within the levels, and those characters will become collectible turn-in locations, basically out on the world map. One word of warning that I will give you, though, is that once you collect all of the collectibles that somebody wants, it will tell you, hey, they're ready for you to go turn this stuff into them. However, you need to understand the reward is experience. So if you are on a character that you don't want to collect that experience on, don't do that turn in yet because you can only do it once. Now, there are like, I think 4, 5 different people that you can turn collectibles into.
It's the alien dudes, the toads, the newspaper dude, the VHS dude, and the diaries girl.
The diary girl. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's 5, and I think all of them give you 100 experience, which is a full level, except for the last one that gives you 200 experience.
It's different depending on who it is, because the newspapers, I think, only give you like 50. Because there's only 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how many there are. So you get more from the toads than you do from the experience because there's like 8 bugs for the toads or whatever it is.
Interesting. I definitely knew that one of them gave me 2 full levels when I turned it in, which sucked because my Donatello was level 9 and it only goes up to level 10. So that was just totally wasted. But anyway, yeah. So if you've got a character that you're trying to level up or you need a little bit of a boost, like what Chris was saying earlier, it does do like a nice job of like letting you play together, particularly because one of the things you can do is, in addition to being able to revive other people, which can be difficult sometimes, particularly during busy boss fights and stuff like this. But you can also press the same button that you would to revive to pass a little bit of health between your characters, from the healthier one to the less healthy one. So you can do things like that to kind of help each other out. But if you want to bring somebody new in and bump it up to like closer to your friend's level, you can wait, sit on those collectibles, and then go turn them in, and then be able to jump in with them or something like this. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Also, another thing that I don't know is present in the other Ninja Turtles games is that we've talked about characters having more range or more speed or something like that than others. They actually note that on the characters when you're selecting them. So like if you want to have a character that has big range, you can check the stars between 1 and 3. the speed between 1 and 3, the power between 1 and 3. So you can prioritize what you want to do and whatever character that you want to play. And Casey Jones, when you unlock him at the end, is just a better version of Donatello, with I think more power or more speed,
I think
whichever one. He's got the same.
more power.
He's got the same. He's the only character in the game that has 7 stars. Everybody else has 6.
Oh, he's fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's literally got more stats than the other characters.
Well, he's unlockable. Makes sense.
Yeah.
No, and they've said that they're going to do more with the game, and I don't know. I never believe developers or publishers. Like, no offense, guys, but like, I'll believe it when you do it, okay? Because I've been told that too many times while reviewing things. Like, we're going to fix this, and they never fix it
Before.
I've been hurt. And they said they're going to do more with it. And I think that's the most interesting thing to me, because the game is really like, Brian, like you said, like 2 to 3 hours. And I think, in Josh's case, if you have like a really big group, you're going to blaze through it. Levels are going to take 5 minutes. But like if you're having like a 2 or 3 person group, like it'll take you like, maybe 10 to 12 minutes a level, depending on the level. And more stuff would be really cool, especially because I just wanted like more excuses to drive around the Super Mario World map with my little like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles car,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's part of the appeal, though. Is like it's short, it's easy to get into, and like there's a ton of replay because like there's 7 characters, there's a bunch of different stuff to unlock.
Yeah. Particularly if like you're an achievement hunter or you're somebody who likes to push challenges. Like there's a challenge for I think almost every level to finish the level without getting hit.
Yeah.
Or to finish it without taking damage from obstacles or something like this. So there is a lot of not quite the score chasing of something like Resogun or something, but there is kind of a, oh, you think you can master this, show me, that sort of a thing, which I think is really fun, particularly in games this bite-sized, where you can just be like, all right, I'm going to play level 1 over and over again until I can get through it without getting hit. Boom, challenge complete, move on to level 2, and then you just do that.
Yeah.
And that is like a really fun bite-sized thing to do with your friends, which I think is really great. While other things like, oh, let's hop on and play a Halo Infinite match, that could take 15 minutes, that could take a half hour, depending on what mode you're in, that could take however long. It is really nice to have something that is so easy to drop in and drop out with that could ostensibly only take like 7 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. I the only thing that I will say that holds it back for me is the Chrome Dome boss fight and then one other boss fight. I am a profound hater of invincible phases for bosses. I think that every boss, if you can hit them, you should be able to damage them, period, forever, in every game, for all eternity. I don't think there's ever any reason to not have that be the case. And while it is evocative of older style games, it annoyed me. That was the only, those were the only grains of sand in my sandwich. But otherwise, I think it's fantastic. And also, there is crossplay in the game. It works a little weird, and it's not available for every platform yet? ? The devs are saying that they are interested in doing it, but who knows if it's going to happen. My understanding in how you do it, and this crossplay right now is only between Xbox and PC, between Epic and Steam and Xbox, which includes Game Pass and all that sort of stuff. So my understanding is you have to link your Steam to Epic. You have to link your Xbox to Epic. And if you do that, and then your friends on Epic, then you can play together. That's my understanding on how that works. We didn't have time to actually like dive into the nitty gritty of that when we were playing with our 5-player team. So I just ended up switching to Xbox Game Pass because it's on there. So if you have Game Pass, you have literally no excuse. You should definitely play this game.
Play Shredder's Revenge as you have Game Pass. It's right there.
It's right there.
And it's a
so
very
right
small
there.
download.
Yeah,
It's very small
Yeah,
tiny.
it's
download.
like 600 megabytes or something.
Yeah.
And
Small.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Great
Uh,
it's
music.
great. I think it's also available on Switch.
It is. I've heard when you get to some of the more hectic moments, if you're playing with 6 players, it can get a little framey. Not like anything terrible, but I think if there's just a lot going on, it like will chug a little.
Switch.text.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
The
Two
Switch.
things I do want to mention that we haven't touched on yet. Steam Deck. I played the majority of this game on Steam Deck. Congratulations, Brian, for finally having your Steam Deck.
I'm holding up my deck right now.
This game runs ridiculously well on it. What you'll find if you look into the settings, like for the resolution and everything, is that it doesn't run at the full 720p that the deck is capable of. That's fine, given the type of game that it is. I was able to get about like 5 to 5.5 hours out of the battery on the deck because of it wasn't using the full resolution and all that, all the full power of it and all that, because it doesn't need to. The other thing I will say is if you have access to a fight stick and you're playing it on PC or whatever fight stick is compatible with wherever you're playing this game, definitely give it a shot. I did it this weekend by myself, and like I was kind of bummed that I didn't do it when I was playing with Brian, because it was like this weird just like Zen experience that I had. Like I just I hadn't like sat down and really played like a beat 'em up on a stick in a really long time, and it just felt really, really good. I mean, outside of the cabinet, but even that's different. Like I was just like at my desk, big monitor and going at it, and I was like, oh man, this feels real good, and it plays real good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also played the whole game on a fight stick. Highly, 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 highly recommended. Plays fine on a pad.
Yeah.
But if you have a stick, play it on that. It is really just like this beautiful feeling of like, yes, I remember this.
And I didn't have to like do anything crazy to get it working. I literally just plugged it in, and
there it was.
Yeah, it was. Like it just worked. It was great.
Yeah, I definitely concur. I did really enjoy playing it on stick. However, I didn't have the feeling that I did with Streets of Rage 4, which was in Streets of Rage 4, I feel like the game didn't really come alive for me until I played on stick. And this game, I was like, I started playing with stick and was like, this is great. And then I switched to pad and I was like, this is still great.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't feel like there was which is weird because I never had a history with Streets of Rage. So like there wasn't like a nostalgia of playing on an arcade cabinet like I had with the TMNT arcade game. So it's weird that like Streets of Rage felt like it benefited more from that than TMNT did. But I mean, it's it's great if you prefer playing on pad because it's fantastic there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is look at that, so beautiful.
Oh baby.
But yeah, it's I have not had a chance to play it on deck, but I can imagine it's great. And when I was playing it on my laptop, it was just beautiful, buttery smooth. I mean, as it's not surprising at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, did we have any other things that we wanted to touch base on this one? Or are we about ready to wrap it up?
Nope.
Oh! I didn't mention. So previously, I had said that Freshly Frosted was in my top 4 favorite games of this year. The reason it's top 4 and not top 3 is because of Shredder's Revenge. Now I don't know which one is where. I may still give Freshly Frosted the 3rd place and have Shredder's in 4th. But right now, for me, Game of the Year list: number 1, Elden Ring; number 2, Citizen Sleeper; number 3, Freshly Frosted, probably; number 4, Shredder's Revenge. Like, it's a good year. It's a good year for games. Even though not a lot is coming out, there is some really, really choice stuff that's coming out. So, I mean, I can't really recommend it enough. So, all right. What shall we talk about next? Shall we talk about the deck next, or does anybody else have something they want to bring first before we get into another potentially thick topic?
I have a quick one.
Sure.
Joshua, I did a thing this weekend.
What'd you do?
I played Sea of Thieves with a friend for the first time.
You didn't play with me. I see how it is.
It was like
You
Saturday
had
night.
one job.
I had like 1 hour, and my buddy texted me before I went to bed, and he was like, "Hey," because he watches the show every week. He was like, "Hey, you and me, Sea of Thieves right now." I was like, "All right." So we hopped in. We did like the tutorial.
All right, you son of a bitch.
That's right. We did the tutorial quest. And then we just like went to this like random volcano island, and like, we're exploring, and got attacked by ghosts, and like I definitely see the appeal playing it with people, but it definitely, like, if you were to play it alone, which I have done, it is not nearly as fun. Like, the social aspect of that game is what makes that game fun.
Yes.
Yep.
So I would totally be down to play it if anybody wants to.
You just have to ask. I will show up. I love Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I would like to try it out a little bit more.
I'll be your pirate senpai.
Pirate me, senpai.
Yeah, teach me the ways of the seven seas, senpai.
Yar.
It's a cute little game. I like it. It's fun. Bunch of shenanigans to be had there, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's a shenanigan central.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I bought my first Fortnite skin.
Oh
God.
my! What did you get? Did you get that Darth Vader?
I got the only one that I need, and that's Nathan Drake.
Uh,
Yeah.
Didn't even know he was in that.
Chris's only want one thing, and it's disgusting.
That's right.
You could have had anything, and you bought great value Indiana Jones.
You're goddamn right I did.
That's pretty funny.
Tastes great, less filling. Anyway.
Indiana Jones isn't in the game yet.
Yeah.
One day, I bet he will be when 5.
He's going to be in this season.
And then you'll have your
there you go.
Fortnite skin.
And then I'll have my second one. Yeah.
Junior.
Great. Do I have to tell you to wash your ears?
It's been a long time since I've seen those movies.
You're sleeping with Nazis, boy. Well, so am I. So anybody else got anything? Josh, did you get up into anything this week?
Not really, other than Shredder's Revenge, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will, you?
That's about it.
Something, but it's old.
All right, go for it.
I replayed the first Advance Wars. That game
is baby. Yeah, you did.
Interesting.
I was
what a great video game.
It is a great video game. I'd played the second one. I'd never played the first one, and I was like, you know what? The Wii U strap is getting turned off. It's $7. I'm just gonna go buy it. So I bought it, and I played through it, and I was like, Advance Wars is good. Advance Wars is very good. More people should play Advance Wars, and yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. Advance Wars is great.
I'm convinced that game's never coming out. The remake.
I don't think so either, which is why I bought it.
Well, the remake specifically.
I mean, it was going to, right? And then the Ukraine
war was going to
started.
And then like the week before the war started, and then they pulled it. It actually got somehow a couple people got it to like launch on their Switch because it was like pre-installed, and then it unlocked for a hot second, and then
they relocked it.
Yeah. But there's footage of gameplay online.
It's finished. Like the game is done.
It's done.
Yeah.
They're sitting on it.
It's crazy.
I would say that it will at some point.
I hope so. But
they spent all that time making it, right?
I'm gonna be honest, and we got a New Yorker in here, so I'll defer to him as far as feedback is concerned. But I gotta be honest, I think it's kind of ridiculous to shelve or change games because of real world events. Do I want to say most of the time? I'll leave it there and then we can have a discussion.
He's like talking himself out of his own argument.
I was just thinking like what if somebody like put like a school shooting thing in a video game, but then like that's like that's like just a taste thing as opposed to like, oh, like the Spider-Man thing where they're like, the Spider-Man game is going to come out and the Twin Towers are in it, and then the Twin Towers got destroyed, and then they took them out of the game. And I'm like, why not leave them in the game? At least you can see them in the game. Like, why not? But I will also put this caveat on it. I felt very distant from 9/11 because I literally didn't even live in this country when it happened.
Yeah. That probably has a lot to do with it.
But like, yeah. So I lived in Singapore at the time, and it was very interesting to hear about that first thing in the morning when I was at school, and it came up on the little televisions. And then the next day, or no, we got a call at night, and somebody called. I didn't mean to like defer this into a 9/11 thing, but somebody called one of our teacher.
Really?
One of my best friend's moms was a teacher at our school, and she called the house late at night, and I was upstairs. I was on the 3rd floor, and I was playing my PS1. I was playing Final Fantasy VIII, and she called on the phone, and my parents were both like in their bedrooms, and I answered the phone, and Miss Tomerlin said, "Can you get your mom and dad on the phone? Somebody just attacked America." And so I was like, and I like walked over, knocked on the door, and then there were guards at our school the next day. There were Nepalese Gurkhas at our school the next day.
Yeah, you've told this story. Like, years
checking trunks, because the MRT, the tram station that was nearest to my house, was a target for a bombing.
Yeah,
which is the one that I took places. When I wasn't taking the bus or something like that, and the Singapore police actually stopped the people who were planning on blowing it up. But anyway, all that to be said, I think it's a little ridiculous to not release an Advance Wars game just because a war is happening. It's not like Advance Wars is about Russia attacking the Ukraine, right?
No, but
like it's set in a fictional universe.
It's not, but it's about it is about the acts of warfare,
armed conflict.
Right? It is armed conflict. Like it is literally the box cover has a man on a tank. Like
if it's like very
Call of Duty is gonna come out this year. Like like these other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I bet you it would have been possibly delayed for at least a few weeks. Yeah.
No, Activision
if it had happened around that.
Activision does not give a fuck.
They sell war crimes as entertainment. They do not care.
Well, they also, what was it, Modern Warfare 2? There was like the whole thing where you went in and you shot up the airport.
No,
I mean, you didn't have to.
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's right.
When I played it, I didn't do anything.
But the option was there. Anyway, but
it's not like you're making this video game about war in a post-war society. That shit happens. You're choosing to make a game about war. Why should the fact that real war exists change anything about that?
I think a lot of it. Oh my God, Will's here. I think a lot of it has to do with it's soft sales, right? It's the fear of soft sales. It's also just like distastefulness. Like the one that I always think of is MotorStorm Apocalypse, which, a big target audience for that game was the Japanese market, and Japan was hit by a giant
tsunami.
Like the week that game came out.
That killed a lot of people.
It killed a lot of people, and it killed the sales of that game and the MotorStorm franchise. Like, we haven't had another one since. I think that is the...
And they released it on their normally, like when they were going to? Okay.
And I think that is like the example that all these companies look at is that, this is a franchise that was like really well established and really well known, and hardly anybody bought that game because of what had happened.
It's like the joke in the sitcom where like someone says something super serious and terrible, and then someone comes in who didn't hear and is like, "Who wants insert, blank in here?" You know what I mean? It's
That's
the exact
a good
same
parallel,
thing.
Josh. That's a really good point.
Yeah. And, I think it will eventually come out, but I also don't know when that's going to be. And I wanted to play Advance Wars because, like, I've been sitting there like, I would like to play Advance Wars, and I can fundamentally disassociate, real horrible, terrible things with like Nintendo cartoon game.
Right.
Yeah, that sort of stuff doesn't bother me, and maybe that's just a your mileage may vary
You're
sort of a
also
scenario.
like an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like think
That's
of
a huge part of it.
Think of the company that is doing
what's
this.
Advance Wars rated?
I think it's teen.
Teen.
I think it has to be, right?
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
you know,
The
young.
original
Ages,
Advance
those
Wars
rounds
is E for everyone.
but think about
Yeah,
it.
but
it is Nintendo.
Times change.
Yeah.
Like Raiders of the Lost Ark is PG-13.
Yeah.
It's
But like,
PG.
there's some stuff in that movie. Well, no, because Raiders of the Lost Ark's the first PG-13 movie.
I thought
I'm pretty
Temple of Doom
sure.
was.
I'm pretty sure it's Raiders, but either way, like,
Either way.
and then you think about other things where like Logan's Run's a good example. That movie's PG. It has boobs in it. Like, that wouldn't happen,
No.
Times change.
Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp E10+. Releasing in TBD.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I bet it'll come out at some point, but I bet they're just gonna wait for some distance, honestly, on that.
Mhm.
And it's not like Nintendo like needs the money right now. Like Advance Wars probably isn't gonna sell like crazy well
Gangbusters, yeah.
anyway, right? So they're probably like,
It's not Fire Emblem 3 Musos.
it's
or
not
whatever.
Zelda,
Well, look, man, there's no waifus in Advance Wars, all right? You can't like
no.
You can't romance the tank.
No, you can't.
No.
Well,
You
Well,
can't
there's other
smooch the Sheila.
characters. There's characters, right? But there's no like dating sim thing going
Look,
on.
man,
It's
No,
just, like,
there's-
I don't know
No.
anything about Advance Wars, and I'm trying to smooch some tanks, so you leave me alone.
that's I don't know. The long and short of it is it's a really good game, and if you are, sitting there being like, man, I wanted to play Advance Wars, and it's gonna remind you that like
the old
Advance
ones are
Wars
still
is
great.
Still there. They're still there.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah.
And they have beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sprite art, which the new ones will not have.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed the whole thing. My bad.
I mean,
No,
no,
not at all.
not at all.
This whole podcast is a train that has never been on the tracks. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Did you say how you felt about things being held, Will, or things being taken out of games or something like that? Like how do you feel about the Spider-Man thing and them taking out the Twin Towers?
It's funny because I think it's a question of like distance from the thing. Now it's very like it would be nice to have it, right? And at the time, I think it would have made people upset. So I think it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, what do we do? Like, do we play this long game in terms of like, 15, 20 years from now, people are going to be able to look at like pictures of the New York City skyline pre 9/11, and it's not going to be as painful as it is, 2 months after.
Yeah.
Right. Or do we do what we think is necessary for the time being? I don't necessarily have an issue with it. I understand why people make those decisions. If Nintendo would have come out with Advance Wars, I would have bought it. I still would have played the game. I would have probably had a good time with it, But I understand the reasoning because there is times of I've been playing it now where like certain things happen. I'm drawing rural parallels like, that's weird. And you don't want to have that moment of, because also, there's going to be a million think pieces about it. Did you hear about it? The way Advance Wars treated this one thing? Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like do not want that PR nightmare.
No, they don't.
basically, So
So I don't blame them.
And unlike a few years ago, or certainly decades ago, now it wouldn't just be a think piece on IGN or Polygon or Kotaku. It would be a think piece on Bloomberg or Washington Post or the Times or something like that, because those places all have games writers now.
Right. And, the Washington Post people would like, do you know what a video game is? Let me tell you about this new one called Advance Wars, right? And they'd be comparing it to Pac-Man or something.
it's a brand new game. Never been.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's not Pac-Man anymore.
Right.
Because they always
They
say
keep
that.
doing this. I don't understand.
It's not about Donkey Kongs and Marios anymore, boys.
Say it's your dad's war.
What?
I don't
This
know.
one's advanced.
This one's advanced.
Yeah, this war is
Not even
this time
advanced.
war advances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, I'm excited for it to come out because I haven't played any of the Advanced War games. But I have played, I think, games that are
1 and 2 are good.
Yeah.
I think I've played games that are inspired by them. Like I've played War Groove and I've played
Groove, yeah.
Tiny Metal, which
Yeah,
I think
War Groove
Tiny
is
Metal is
very-
probably more inspired. Have you guys seen Tiny Metal?
Yeah, I played it. I wasn't super into it.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but War Groove is real good.
War Groove I liked, but yeah.
Speaking of war games, I'm just gonna name drop one real quick because it's a game that I think I'm one of the only people that remembers, and I never hear anyone talk about it.
If you say Jungle Strike, so help me
No.
God.
Battalion Wars on the GameCube.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember this.
Nobody,
I remember that game.
Nobody talks about this game anymore, and I don't know how this hasn't gotten like remade or ported to Steam.
It's so good.
Like it's one of those
Oh
titles
yeah.
that like you see the box art and you're like, oh, I remember seeing that.
Wasn't this basically Advance Wars but on the GameCube? Wasn't that the idea?
It was,
or is it something
but
else?
it was like 3D. Like you were.
It's a spin-off of Advanced Wars,
Yeah,
according to
it's-
Wikipedia.
It's
I was
similar,
like, yo,
but it
the
is
logo is exactly the same.
Yeah. But you're like actually driving the tank,
yeah.
like in a third-person perspective.
It's a cool game.
Yeah.
He got a sequel on Wii.
But I just can't believe nobody ever brings this franchise up.
It's a hidden gem then.
Yeah.
hmm Hey, you know what? To be fair, nobody brings Advance Wars up either. Like, they haven't made a new Advance Wars game in 15 years.
That's true. And before Smash
Hey,
Brothers, nobody talked about Fire Emblem.
Last one they made was the one on DS, which was like kind of meh. It was
Yeah.
a reboot. I didn't
Days
really
of
care
Ruin,
for it.
which was all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of like whatever. Like they tried to go all like more dark with it, and I think part of what people like about Advance Wars is that it sort of feels like
Poppy.
slightly
campy?
upbeat.
Yeah.
Like and campy. It's like a kid's anime about war as opposed to like the DS one where it's like this is a war, like a
This is-
war, and you're like,
Oh, that's
okay.
funny.
This is the post-apocalypse.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Where like certain like if you watch a kids cartoon or a kids anime, like usually sometimes they're about kind of serious shit where they're like put this child in a robot and have them like fight these giant monsters that are destroying cities. But we don't dwell on the fact that like the cities have people in them and they die. We're just like, isn't it fun to get them in a
cool
robot and hit monsters, right? Like that's sort of what Advance Wars is to me, where it's like isn't it fun to one up the bad guys sort of kind of in a way? They're not really focusing on like the human cost or anything like that.
Yeah.
Won't anyone consider the death toll in the most recent battle?
Consider all the children left parentless.
They're like, nah, I'm just really amped that we showed that those blue what were they, Blue Moon dudes?
Blue
or
Moon,
what-
yeah.
Yeah.
Blue Moon showed them up, yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is interesting. I did not know that, but this makes sense based on when this came out because there was a lot of this like playing with naming conventions coming out. But apparently the series is just called Wars, and it started with Famicom Wars, then Game Boy Wars, then Super Famicom Wars, then Advance Wars, and then it took on the Advance Wars name from then on.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
I didn't know that.
Advance Wars,
didn't
Advance
know
Wars
that
2,
either.
Black Hole Rising, Advance Wars Dual Strike, Advance Wars Days of Ruin, and then those were all
Dual
by
Strike was
intelligent systems, and then Battalion Wars and Battalion Wars 2 by Kuju Entertainment, and then Way Forward is doing the reboot, which is interesting. I did not know that, but that is funny. So like you'll be like, oh, Famicom Wars. I wonder if that's like where Advance Wars got the idea from. No, it's the same series. They just named it different things.
Wow.
That's so interesting. But it does make sense because you have like Mario Brothers, Super Mario
When-
Brothers, Super Mario World.
where's
you know,
Switch Wars?
Mario 64, Super Mario 64, you know, like that sort of stuff. Like Nintendo
Yeah.
likes to play with those sorts of naming conventions. And like when that was the time, like Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced, you know, that sort of a thing. Like that stuff went all over the place. They just preempted it, which is funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for that to come out because that's
Well,
That
don't
is,
get too
that is-
excited because it may not.
it may not.
I
But
think
in
I
the
think it will
meantime-
eventually. It's a fully finished product.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think
it just needs space.
I don't think Nintendo's morals are that good.
They're not going to wait forever.
Star Fox 2.
Yeah, I know.
Star Fox 2.
Yeah, that's a good point.
20 years from now, we're finally at releasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the Switch
On
Classic.
this mini, yeah, the Switch Classic.
Oh
Yeah.
God. That sounds
It'll
awful.
literally it'll be this big.
Yeah.
They'll never make that. I mean, they'll never make an N64 classic as much as we want them to.
They
but
won't.
I don't want them to.
They already made it. It's called Nintendo Switch Online.
And
It
Yeah.
is.
awful. Anyway,
Why would they sell you anything when they can charge you for a subscription? Ownership is dead, people. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
all right. Now I'm depressed. Can we stop talking about this?
really.
Sure, let's talk about something else. Hey, Chris, do you want to talk about the Steam Deck?
The Switch Boy Large Edition.
Boy,
The
do
Switch-
I.
The biggin.
You know
The
what's
thick
funny?
boy.
So, this is actually a really good way to tell this. I have the 256 gigabyte model that has the reflective screen. Brian, go ahead and hold up your screen
Ah.
to the monitor. He has the 512 gig.
Yeah, I have the big one
That's
with
the
the glare reducing screen.
that's the difference in the glass technology
Mm.
that they have.
Yeah.
For anyone who's wondering.
Yeah, I have the most expensive one.
Yeah, how's your life with this whole thing?
Now, I did not buy
What a
the
question.
Yeah.
how is my life
How's your,
with it?
how's your
life?
life?
How's your life with
Complicated.
it? Yeah, it is. Linux, baby.
Complicated. I will say Chris was definitely partially right. This is not everything I want it to be. And I think one of the things that I didn't reckon on was that when it said
okay.
this is not when they released those lists of games where it was like, this is great on deck, this is might have some issues, this is like not supported yet or something like that, my interpretation of that information was different than what it ended up being on the ground. My understanding would be like, oh, this game doesn't run that well, it kind of hitches a little bit, or like there might be some like graphical glitches. No, so these games just like do not boot at all. And I'm like, wow, huh? Like Dragon Ball Fighters does not boot at all on the Steam Deck. However, this motherfucker can play Guilty Gear Strive like no problem. Even though that's also a game that is the same level of not supported as Dragon Ball Fighters. The weirdest thing, I need to get a screenshot of it, but it is when you're on the character select screen for Guilty Gear, everything looks beautiful and nice and crisp and clean, but the background, the like character select background was just that like colorful, like, we apologize, but your connection has been like this channel is down right now. Like it's like the bars, like the different colored bars where it's like, excuse us, we're having technical difficulties. Literally that screen flickering behind a beautifully animated soul bad guy and Kai Kisk on this thing. And then I click into the game and it like totally goes into the game. That was the only problem. And it runs well. And I literally could do my combos. I was practicing, my bike and RC combos, no problems. Like was totally able to do it on this, which is wild. But like Dragon Ball Fighters won't run at all.
It's almost like video games are hard to make.
Yeah, right. Borderlands Game of the Year edition will not boot. It actually says, it comes up with a splash screen that says like your hardware is not up to the recommended specifications for this title, which obviously isn't true, but it's just whatever, like it's not compatible with Proton.
So let's structure this discussion with positives and negatives. What do you think about that, Chris? Do you think that would work?
I have my opinions of it, and I I mean, that's fine, because I'm sure whatever you are about to say will inevitably divulge into some super long tangent that only you and I will and other Steam Deck owners will understand.
Well, let's keep it short and crispy then. Because I haven't had that much time with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely the interesting thing is I thought my initial thought was, oh, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna like it, I'm gonna be playing things on this all the time. I'm not gonna want to sell this. And I'm kind of like 50-50 right now, whether I want to keep it or not.
Wow.
And it's very interesting. And part of it is because, like, man, there's like 4 or 5 games that I was like, I can't wait for my deck to come in so I can play this game. And like, they just don't boot at all. And I'm just like, damn, like what the, like now, so there are some where it's like I was kind of hoping.
Like which ones don't work at all that you were like really bummed about? Dragon Ball FighterZ, which isn't a huge deal because I have that on Switch. I was really hoping Guilty Gear would work, and it does. I haven't had any issues with that yet. Another one is let's see. Let me go around. Halo Infinite. I'm bummed. You know what
doesn't
sucks?
boot at all.
That actually, it was either Infinite or Master Chief Collection did work, and then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna put in a patch to fix up the anti-cheat system, like just tighten it up," or like they were fixing something to make it more compatible, and as a result, made it not work at all. Like neither game will boot.
Yeah, I was also trying to boot into
So is that 343's fault, or is that easy anti-cheat? Because I know that the both games use that, right?
Why not
And
both? No, I think it's 343.
DBFZ does too.
It is the most 343 thing I could possibly think of, so it's probably their fault.
Yeah, I think it was something they did.
But I will also say Easy Anti-Cheat is also something incorporated into DBFZ.
Yeah.
So that could be
and
a
that's-
common.
could be that.
That is a consistent thing with every Easy Anti-Cheat title that is out there. Because that is like design, like because Linux is an open platform, having Easy Anti-Cheat, like they can't get it to run on there because people can just work around it because it's open source. Like you can do whatever you want in that OS. You know, because Windows is a more closed ecosystem, that's why it's capable of running on there. So like any games like Destiny does not run on there. And
yeah, and didn't they say it'll never run because they don't?
Yeah, they're like, we're not going to rewrite Destiny to work in Linux with another version of Easy Anti-Cheat. Like it's never going to happen. Get over it.
Yeah, and that's a bummer. And then also Elder Scrolls Online won't boot.
Yeah, it's probably another one of those titles.
Yeah,
I don't know if it runs Easy Anti-Cheat, but it might run some kind of something.
No, that I call Shenanigans on that. On ESO. What? Apparently that's supposed to like be one of the best titles for it.
Oh, really?
The other day. Yeah. There was might have been PC Gamer. Somebody like did a piece on how good that game runs on Steam Deck and how like it got them because they have it on there now. They're back into ESO.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if it has something to do with stable or beta branch or something like that. I don't know.
You're not running beta.
I did because somebody said to try that to see if it would make Dragon Ball work.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll go back to stable. But anyway, that was what I was planning on doing. Is like I'm just gonna run stable and then just do whatever I need to do.
It's not like they're not updating it. Like, just run stable.
Yeah. So, however, I will say, when stuff does work, and this is the thing. Less stuff works than I thought works, but the stuff that does work is really great. So like for example, you guys know how big I am into FromSoft games. Elden Ring runs beautifully on this. It runs better on the Steam Deck than it does on my desktop.
I hate this.
I mean, it's closed hardware, right? So it's a little easier to.
And Valve optimized it. Like did some optimization on the game themselves, like for this. So it's a bummer, but let me tell you, I haven't had any crashes yet. It runs really well. I think it's less framey. It's ridiculous.
I'm so happy for you, Brian.
I know, isn't that just rage inducing? But yeah, but it's been cool to sit on the couch, watch something, and just play Elden Ring just like right here. But another thing that I was thinking of is like, how long am I realistically going to do that? How many times am I going to play through this game? How much am I going to play it? Like the other things, what is this, Mario Golf? Yeah, hey, this is
Yep.
something I did. So,
I feel like for me, this device makes more sense than it does for you because I tend to play more older titles than you do.
Yeah, it's probably like an emulation gold mine, right?
It's
Like,
fantastic.
It's
If
really
anything,
good for that.
I'm kind of like kicking myself for putting as much money and time into the Botacera PC that I put in the living room, which is like great for multiplayer nights and stuff like that. But like most of the stuff that I play on there, I can play on here, and it's way easier to just like, it's easier for me to convince Jess, oh, let's watch something on TV, and I'm gonna play Steam Deck, than hey, I want to play some old GameCube game on the TV, and you can just sit there,
Right.
Yeah,
Read a
and that
book.
is
Yeah, go
that is
read a
one
book.
thing that I think is interesting, and one of the big things that I've had to think about is I spent, because I wanted to get the NVMe, which I will say is really impressive. It loads Elden Ring about as fast as my PS5, which is pretty crazy. But the question for me is, this was what, like $650 or something like that, to have like something really powerful that's like right here that I can take with me, which is great, and I can take it with me, and the battery life is better than I was expecting. And it's very usable. It's the ability to be playing a game, even a big game, like a this game is too powerful for the Switch game, and be able to just sleep it whenever you want and then go back to it, and be able to, jump into seamless voice chat like Chris and I did,
Yep.
Via Steam and stuff like that. And have back buttons on it built in that are like not incredibly comfortable, but still are very workable. Once you like, they require a little bit more pressure than I would like to like press them down, but the triggers are great on this thing. They feel really good, really natural. The buttons feel good. The sticks are good. The extra little mouse pads that are right here next to the screen are good. The ability to just bring up a keyboard whenever you want in whatever game is super helpful. There's a lot of little things like that that are great, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, but if I took this money and instead bought parts for my PC and like really amped that thing up, or if I sold my laptop and used the money from that and the Steam Deck to get myself like a really nice gaming laptop, would I be serving myself better? Because then I don't have to worry about any compatibility issues. I don't have to worry about best on deck because I can play whatever I want. And the difference, the big thing that I've been thinking about the past couple of days is the difference in portability between this and this. And is that difference that big? And is it that important? And I think that that's, as somebody who really appreciates PC gaming and what PC gaming can do for you as far as getting AAA games from Sony, Xbox, if you're into RetroArch or these sorts of things, Nintendo, just being able to have a freaking feast of almost whatever you want. And while the ease of use on the Steam Deck for the stuff that works, like if you just go into your Steam library and you're like, yo, what's verified to run freaking great? I'm only going to play that. that's cool. But then I'm still like I'm still playing my cards based on what I'm being handed from people that are developing for the deck or optimizing for it and things like that.
Well, it's that, and it's how much time do you want to spend tinkering versus playing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Twin Breaker is a game that is not verified on deck, and yet I have played the entire thing start to finish on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Like there are.
Yeah, and Guilty Gear, like that,
right,
that is in the unsupported category, and I can still totally play.
There
it.
are thousands of games that are like that.
Yeah,
that are out there, but for those thousands of games, there are another thousands, or however many that
your Halo Infinites, your DBFZs.
No, not even that. That you could be in the middle of playing, and then all of a sudden it's like, fuck you, you can't go any further because this one, area or this one cutscene or whatever, like, just doesn't work. Like it's the unknown, and it is. I'm
playing a game that is not out yet, and it booted up and loaded in on Steam Deck, and then I got to the name entry period. I pulled up the keyboard and I was like, dope, here we go. I'm gonna enter in my name. I hit enter, and it wouldn't let me like confirm the name that I'd entered, and so I couldn't play the game. So I had to go to my PC, get to that part, get past just the name entering,
right,
and then I was able to boot it up on my Steam Deck and go and do all the stuff that I need to do on this game.
Yeah,
which is like a weird issue. And if I'm gonna need the PC to be able to get past these little weird quirky issues, why not? If I'm gonna have to go to the PC anyways, why not just do it?
I'll put it this way. Like I think for newer and upcoming titles, if it is a larger studio or a more well-known indie studio, and I think most indie games tend to come out on Linux anyway, you can expect that it is going to run on the Steam Deck fine for the most part. It's the games like, it's the legacy titles like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, or not Chaos Theory, Double Agent. I tried to play, where like I launched it, it had to install some old version of DirectX, and then it wanted to like authenticate to some like web server that doesn't exist anymore, and then I finally got into it, and then I got into the game, and it was like, oh, the game almost supports controller input, but you can't modify the look sensitivity, and you could only look with the touchpad, like the right thumbstick didn't work. Like it's all those little caveats of like, you're finally jumping through all the hoops only to get there and go, shit, I can't even play this game.
Yeah,
it's how
it's
much
because
of
it's
that do you
not
wanna put up
built
with?
for it like stuff is built for Switch. Like things might
Right.
not run well on Switch, but they were designed to be played on it.
Right. Like
And
Final
yeah.
Fantasy VII Remake has been scaled back to run on the Steam Deck. Like that is, you know what I mean? Like they've done the work to make that game function properly on this device. Whereas a legacy title like Splinter Cell, you're shit out of luck. Like there's
Unless a fan creates something.
right, or your best option is to emulate it.
Yeah. Which is so
Which,
weird.
yeah, and even then, like that generation of games doesn't really have like super ubiquitous emulation compatibility, right?
No,
So
like really, you're
you're really at the mercy of like what games have and haven't been, depending on what emulator you're using, like haven't been tested or developed to actually work correctly. And even then, like there's still going to be problems,
Yeah.
right? So
Well, and I was gonna say, and then even then, like if good luck if you're interested in a particular version of a game, because if it's a PS3, Xbox 360 generation, you're probably gonna find a better emulator for 360. But is that version of whatever game you're trying to play gonna even have the thing that you want to do?
Yeah.
It's like PS3 emulation can be really good if the game is actually supported, right?
Right.
But
People care about it.
the vast majority of them are not. Well, even games that people do care about are not supported via emulation, like on,
Like Last of Us isn't
yeah.
fully supported on there yet.
Well,
But
they've
it's
re-released
been
that
released
game like
4
6
times.
times, so you know.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
emulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you're struggling to find a place to play that game, I guess, but point still stands.
Like perfect example was yesterday. Came back from golfing, right? what did we talk about? Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005. I played that game on the Xbox, downloaded the ISO, copied it over, opened up Zemu, and it was like chugging. Like, could barely get through the menu system in the tutorial. I was like, I know this game's on GameCube, and I've never had a problem with Dolphin on this thing yet.
Yeah, because Dolphin's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Dolphin's just so well optimized at this point. Found the ISO for that. It's flawless. Like, that game runs. I mean, obviously, it runs as well as a GameCube can run that game, but I didn't have any issues running it. But like those are like that all comes with experience of me just like dicking around with all this stuff for how many years I've been doing it. Like,
so that you could play a game for like
20 minutes.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then be like, all right, cool.
On.
And then
cool, I
got my fix. I'm out. That Smoke said in the chat, I attempted to play Monster Hunter World, did not launch on deck.
Yeah.
Which like that sucks because that's the biggest Capcom game ever. Yep. So like, but like, I find myself in the lamentable position as someone who wants things to just work and wants to just be able to plug and play.
This isn't for you.
But also wants to be able to not pay someone for access to the internet that I already pay for, and then also just be totally subject to their whims on if they want to make this backwards compatible in a future generation or not. And so these are the things that have pushed me towards PC gaming.
It sounds
PC
like
gaming is like more fiddly.
Yeah, it sounds like you want a laptop or an Aya Neo.
What's that?
It's the competitor to a Steam Deck that's like twice the cost and runs Windows.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so that's it's.
I mean, you have another option. You could put Windows on it. I'm not going to help you though.
Yeah.
And also, it's not supposed to be very good.
It's not. There's a lot of problems with it.
Yeah, and so so it's interesting. It is interesting. There is kind of like this growing sadness that I feel, but
I had a feeling this was going to happen because
I think we all did.
I had a feeling you weren't going to
read it, or
am
am I, Chris?
Like Mr. Hergy in the chat says, you could get like 400 strawberry frosties at Wendy's for the price of a Steam Deck.
You could.
True.
You could have a Frosty every single day. I don't do this, by the way, but you could have a Frosty every single day for a year and still have Frosties going into the next year.
Instead of having a Steam
that would
Deck.
be pretty cool. Instead of having a Steam Deck. Or you could be like me. You get your Steam Deck, sell it immediately, basically double your profit, and put that towards your
and then you have
vacation
Frosties for like
planning.
3 years.
Yeah,
not doing that.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking is like, do I want to just sell it to the hungry masses and get like a better gaming laptop? I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, well, for me, it was like, I'll probably enjoy this thing for a day or two and then, run into the same problems that everyone else is running into. Or I can sell it and I can put the money towards something I know I'm going to enjoy, and I want to do, rather than keep this thing that I'll probably play for a week and then just like my Switch, not touch. So
what's funny is like between my Switch and my Steam Deck, they're probably, and this PC obviously because I use it for work, they're the two devices that I use the most in this house, and have been for, well, the Steam Deck since I got it, but the Switch I've pretty much been playing all year, more than PS5 and Series X. I do find myself thinking of the day where I don't work for IGN and don't need Photoshop anymore, where I can get rid of my laptop and then go, all right, my Steam Deck is my portable computer. I'll bring that, a portable display, mouse and keyboard, and I can do everything I need to do on a browser. And like, for me, that's completely fine. And I know I'm the exception. Like, IT man will figure it out. Whatever, I don't care. majority of people though who are just like, I just want this goddamn thing to work. Like, it's not for everyone. It's really not.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see like the legs of it a year from now when we do get some of these titles. Like, I don't know if we're gonna have like a Redfall, verified day one on deck. Like, how many of those Xbox games that were shown off 2 weeks ago
Who knows,
are going to be
dude?
verified day one? Is The Last of Us going to be verified day one? Like,
Yeah,
that's what I'm excited to see, though, is like, what if they are? Like, what if
I
they come
doubt it.
out and they're just like, I mean, they're doing it with God of War, Spider-Man, like, I don't know. I'm excited.
My thing is just the install base is probably not big enough to justify a lot of it, and I still have this sneaking suspicion Valve's going to abandon this thing in the next 2 years.
They absolutely are.
They're going to be like, it's up to you now, gamers.
They will if people stop buying them.
Which they will. So they're going.
People still play Team Fortress 2, and they seem to not care about that either.
Well,
so
yeah, but they're not buying that.
they're buying things in it.
They're
It's
buying
still
cosmetics in it.
We had this whole conversation. It's still top 10 most played game on
I know.
Steam.
And they're going in
And they don't care. They said that.
They said that.
They said that after 2 years of backlash.
Yeah.
My point is they're gonna do what they do. They're gonna go ooh shiny, and they're gonna go off and do something else like at some point. Like, I just have this bad feeling about it.
Yeah. You're probably not wrong. But I don't know. I like my little Linux PC. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think the interesting thing is that, like, I feel like there's like two announcements that would completely obviate it, or would seriously, like, make me think twice about using it instead of that sort of thing. And that was if Nintendo was like, yo, all the games that you own on Switch will carry forward to all of our subsequent things forever. And if they were then like, yeah,
Really.
which they won't, but like Microsoft did that basically, which I think is admirable and something I really appreciate, and has made me much more comfortable spending money in their ecosystem, which is what they want. But if they were then like, yo, and also we're releasing a Switch Pro so that shit runs well. But, whatever follow-up is going to be in kind of a similar situation, but it's interesting. I think it would be interesting if just the, whatever upgraded version of the term HD twins, if they just continue on as they are, Microsoft and Sony, and then Switch is just like, yeah, we own handhelds and that's just how it is. And then PC was over here being like, we get most of what you want except for the Nintendo stuff. So like, hey, think about us. But
I imagine what will happen in the next, I'll say 2 years, is that you're going to have companies like, you might get Dell, you'll get like Razer, MSI, Asus. A couple of them will make a Steam Deck competitor once they realize like, oh, people are interested in taking their Steam library with them wherever they go. And if they can get Windows to, and like it's
well.
It's even hard to finish this sentence. If they can get Windows to be lightweight enough and run, like, have all the dependent files that it needs to be able to run the games that you want to play on them. Like, that's the thing. Like, you almost need Microsoft to develop a stripped down OS just for this, which I could kind of see them doing.
That would be dope. Particularly because
in a million years.
Particularly because if Microsoft did it, they have the Windows knowledge to get Steam to work like it works, and They
wouldn't do that though. They wouldn't do that. At that point,
why? Yeah, why on earth would they ever do any of this?
Why? Like, why would they would have no reason to get Steam to run on that. Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm just
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was but that's what we
what
were
do they
literally
get out of
talking
it?
about. But then also there's
Nothing.
like, oh, what this is
No,
a
I'm more
Game Pass machine.
I'm more thinking of, okay, you have Game Pass.
But now that's coming to TVs.
Hold on. We've squished down
Cloud is. Yeah.
the Series S hardware basically into a portable handheld. So you have like an Xbox Switch at this point. I could see them doing that a couple
That would
years
be
down the road.
cool, but I don't see them doing that. I think they're really invested in the cloud. They're going to be like, you don't need that because you already have a phone and you can connect your Xbox controller to your phone, and if the internet gets good enough in the next decade, right? Then in theory, they don't need to sell you hardware. They can just be like, you can just literally play Halo on your phone. Like, why do we care, right?
What I've heard about 5G is that 5G is definitely fast enough for that.
It's not.
It's not, apparently not. Yeah.
It's not. Guess what? It's here and it's not.
Yeah, I have it.
But aren't we hamstrung by like other things?
Like what?
Like if it was stem to stern 5G, my understanding is it's like way, way, way faster than 4G is now.
I mean, it is, but it's still
it's
not
like
quite
this. It's not like the jump from analog to digital. Like it's, you know what I mean?
I mean, I'll defer to you, but like the amount of information that they were talking about it being able to handle, like per second, I was like, holy shit.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot, but like it's not latency. You know what I mean? Like it's the amount of packets you can send. The boat has gotten bigger. It hasn't gotten faster. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, well, I am interested to keep playing around with the Steam Deck. It was one of those things where it was just like I spent like an hour and a half downloading all the ROMs that I have on my laptop, and I was like, yeah, I don't play these emulated games on my laptop. I don't know why I thought I was gonna play them on my Steam Deck. But they run beautifully. Like I pulled up Soul Silver on it, and it like runs amazing and looks beautiful. Like it's fantastic. Like it's it's more satisfying and like more aesthetically pleasing than playing it on my laptop or whatever. Like it just kind of like frames it better. I'm not sure why. Whoever's working over at Emu Deck is like knows their stuff and is doing it right. But yeah, it was one of those things where it was just like, yeah, I want to play the new stuff. I'm the person that Jim Ryan was talking about. No. Who wants to play old games? Nobody wants to play that shit. He was microcasting to me. Damn it. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm the reason why Sony sucks now. Anyways, do we have anything else that we wanted to talk about?
Nope.
I'm good.
No, sir.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up while I greedily thumb through this eBay sold listings for Steam Decks and look at how much money I could potentially spend on a gaming laptop.
I mean, mine was unopened though, but I got almost twice what I paid for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. But we'll see. I'll probably give it a little bit more time before I do that. But anyway, this has been episode 235 of the Platformers. If you want to check out all the stuff that we do, you can follow all of us corporately on Twitter at PlatformersPod. You can find us at youtube.com/platformerspod, where we archive these episodes that we record live on Twitch at twitch.tv/platformerspod, where you can watch us Monday nights around 7 Central, where we do this. We make all this magic happen. We hang out and answer your questions and address your comments in the chat and all that sort of stuff. Please like us on your podcast and video platform of choice and all that sort of stuff. Give us a follow. If you want to see the stuff that I do, I recently published my very first piece for GameSpot, which is tips and tricks for Leap, a multiplayer shooter that is cooperative in addition to competitive. So if you don't want to just shoot enemies and get freaking blown to smithereens, you can run in and do some wave-based stuff that I found pretty fun. But yeah, you can check that out over there. I also stream at twitch.tv/ribnax occasionally. I'm doing my road to 100% in Elden Ring. I'm getting fairly close to the end. I'm in the home stretch. I've got like a couple of areas left. But it's been a pretty fun time. And you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/ribnax, RIBNAX.
You can find me on Twitter at the Jawa Josh. I don't tweet that much, but if you want to see the cool video essay stuff that I'm working on, you can go to youtube.com/mediaismythic.
You can find me at Shrives93 all over the internet. You can also find me on the Toadstool Boardroom, Nintendo podcast. New episodes of that go up every Thursday. I have no idea what we're talking about this week, so I'm not going to plug any more of that.
I am on Twitter at Will Borger if you would like to read anything that I've written or just come and vibe, which is mostly what, you should use Twitter for, vibing.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Platformers. We hope that you have a wonderful week out there and stay safe. Oh, and starting tomorrow, my daughter's getting her first vaccination shot.
Let's
by maybe the first week of August, I'll be living life, living free. I can't wait. I'm so amped, which means I can start hitting up the trade show circuit. But anyways, from everybody here at the Platformers, we hope that you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there and stay vaccinated and boosted and all that sort of stuff. Because until next time, we are out.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.